Welcome to Theater and Stream, a film podcast. I am Matt, that is Chuck, and this is episode 91. Theater and Stream, of course, is the show where we review one new movie and one older movie, and then we talk about all the themes and things that unite those two films. But today's episode is going to be something completely different. We're embracing our inner teenage dirtbag, and we're going to be reviewing the new entry in the Jackass series titled Best and Last. We're going to be talking about that movie. We're going to be talking all about whether or not it even deserves that title, Best and Last. And then we're going to be going back to the beginnings of Jackass, deep in the suburbs of Philadelphia, springing forth from kind of the culture of skate videos in the late 90s and early 2000s. A group of friends, they started filming their everyday lives, and eventually that became what would become the CKY series of videos. So we'll be reviewing those two movies today. Chuck, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to get into, but I guess we should go back to the beginning, because we were both the perfect age when both of these things started kind of springing forth into the mainstream culture. What was it like in your household? Because
Oh
there was a
man.
lot of hysteria about Jackass. There was a lot of, stories about kids setting themselves on fire in the suburbs of America, and the show getting canceled after 3 seasons because they didn't want to placate to MTV's stupid demands and stuff. But in my household, Jackass was a no-no. And so what was it like where you were at?
The definition of forbidden fruit. Like
Yeah.
I'm in this household where my parents don't even have bunny ear antennas to get local stations. And, they completely curated and controlled what I could see unless I was over at a friend's house, or I started figuring out how to use the internet. And this was one of those things where like all the cool older kids in my town who I, tagged along with, who were deep into the counterculture of the time, which, of course included loud music, crazy video games like GTA, and then of course Jackass and Cap Kill Yourself. So if I was hanging out with Steve Banyai or Troy Guion, that was my way to like get exposed to things I would normally not be able to see. And so like my actual exposure, is just snippets of it and participating in our own versions of these things. Like all the people upset about like how imitatable things could be were absolutely right, because our little town where there was nothing to fucking do, which is even worse than the suburbs, there's not even a mall. Yeah, you're gonna go over the one bridge in town on a car wearing an alien mask and jump off of it into the Cannonball River while someone else is positioned to record it, all like before anyone calls the sheriff. Like the like we had our own version of this. We called it The Movie, and then The Movie Reloaded, and then we had our own version of the Best and the Last, with the third one that everyone was disappointed in because we couldn't be as extreme as we wanted to. Because my friend Daniel Blickensturfer flew too close to the sun. He lit a shopping cart on fire in Walmart and
Mm.
tried to run out of there before anyone caught him. And he got caught. He, had to go to court. And he's an upstanding citizen now, but he really, was going all out in that age, when we were all in like basically middle school and high school. This was what he was about. He's the guy that looked at Johnny Knoxville and said, "That's a role model." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because my friend group was exactly the same way. We were like the beginning, drama kids. We would walk around with video cameras with high, cameras and just like film just whatever, we were doing in our everyday lives, stupid stuff. But my actual direction into watching the show was, so when I was like 12, 13 years old, we had exchange students at my house.
Oh,
One from Germany and one from Switzerland, and they were obsessed with American culture. And so, and they were older than I was. They were, high school age. They were doing their high school years in America. And so they were the ones who were watching Jackass and the Tom Green show on MTV, and I would, kind of watch, peeking over the couch cushions, or like peeking over the back of the couch, knowing that I shouldn't be watching. And so that was kind of my direction into it. But yeah, it was, I loved it. I loved it then, and I love it now. And I had the CKY movies on VHS when I was a
holy
kid.
shit.
As I Yeah, as I transitioned into my like skateboard kid phase in middle school. And so yeah, really looking forward to this.
And I guess Tony Hawk 3. That was my first exposure to Bam Margera, ultimately.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the band CKY. But is that just like a complete, like the band and the movies were like involving the same people, right? I'm not
They
misremembering
were.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, Bam Margera's brother is the guitarist in CKY, the band. And so that was kind of the connective tissue there. Yep. And then they also we didn't watch CKY 1 for this show, but in CKY 1 they include the song, 96 Quite Bitter Beans, which is of course
Iconic.
they're like one hit wonder sort of song. And so yeah, that was in there too.
Right on. Well, let's get into it, dude. I'm
Yeah.
I am just reminded, and I'm glad that you, I guess, put the actual descriptor for what this genre is, because I struggled with categorizing whatever you
Yeah.
call this, but slapstick reality is perfect, because yeah, like all that this whole like both of these, it's just people doing things to each other and laughing about it, or just being disgusted by it themselves, but reveling in the discomfort and the agony that they're inflicting on each other. And as far as Jackass Best and the Last is concerned, I guess I hadn't really heard any of the discourse about leading up to it, but this feels like a half warmed over microwave meal. You know what I mean? Like the brownie's still frozen in this
Mhm.
thing. I didn't realize that they were going to half ass it so much with new shit. And that's disappointing. Because effectively all that they did was rent out like a office building and just convert it into a bunch of death traps for a few days and do a few really gross stunts, but nothing that made you go holy fuck, I can't believe they did that, with maybe a couple exceptions. But overall, I guess what I was most impressed by was that intro that we're seeing right here. And then I stopped, like I was like, holy fuck, they did some really neat stuff here. This is creative. And then that vibe just died immediately.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to review. Well, it's just a weird thing to review these types of movies because there is no real narrative. They try and like you can tell that they tried to come up with some sort of theming sometimes, like, oh, let's do stunts about how old we are,
Yeah.
about us taking our or getting our colonoscopies, or us getting our prostate exams. And then that kind of just fizzles out a little bit. But yeah, the conversation about this movie was, leading into it was, is this like this is strange. This kind of appeared out of nowhere. Like this movie only sort of sprung forth into the public consciousness like maybe like 3 4 months ago, and it was like, where did this come from? Why is there suddenly a new Jackass movie? And so that kind of set off alarm bells. And then Steve-O on his podcast that he has now, put his foot in his mouth multiple times, talking about how like, oh yeah, we only filmed for like 3 days or 4 days or whatever. And
And you
so
could tell,
that
like,
yeah, and so that like set off alarm bells too. And that the question was, okay, is this going to be just like a cash grab? And I think it absolutely is a cash grab. I think the better question is like, do I care that it's a cash grab? And after seeing the movie, I guess I don't care as much as I thought I was going to. I still had a lot of fun. I still think that, especially just seeing this in a theater with a bunch of people, being able to see this in a theater with a group of people, and just being able to laugh together. And that's something that is very rare nowadays, because a lot of comedy movies are just, shit out straight on streaming these days. It's really not fun to watch a comedy movie at your house, like by yourself. It doesn't work as well. Seeing something like this in a theater is a lot more fun. And, should it probably have just been like a farewell special that they kind of, split up into like three parts and then released on Paramount Plus over the span of like 3 weeks? Yeah, probably. That's probably what they should have done. But I wasn't like, I didn't have my knickers in a bunch as much as I thought I would about kind of the subpar quality of this. I still had a lot of fun, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, same. Like I said when we were leading into this, despite my commentary, this did make me laugh until I cried multiple times.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
that
definitely.
I haven't busted a gut at anything that hard in a long time. It's just that every single moment that did that to me was followed by either a clip of something I had already seen before from the past that you really didn't, get the Ghibli's rumbling, any more than it did. But then what I really actually enjoyed was the disgust factor. Like
Mm.
I missed like the transgressive way that they'd push the envelope there, where it's like I'm literally watching a ping pong ball come out of Steve-O's asshole.
Yeah.
Like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? Like, or like, who's the giant fat guy who is always having people shove their hands in his ass? Like that.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Um, God, what is his name? It's oh man, I see that. I guess that's something we're gonna
Yeah,
have to be
because
talking about too.
I don't
It's because
know the gaggle anymore. Yeah, no Pontius. Like
Zach.
Preston
I think his
Lacey.
name's just is
Yeah,
Zach. His
Zach.
name is just
Okay,
Zach. Yeah.
okay. But yeah, that stuff
Um.
got me. Like just because they're like when they're dropping them on their faces, like
Yeah.
that killed me. Like it was yeah, and I guess even that last like bowl, like hit, like the fact that he did it twice, or was that like a throwback to a previous one?
That's from Forever. That's
Okay, I
from
never
Jackass
I never
Forever.
saw it, so
Yep.
that was new to me, and
Okay.
that's funny that wasn't in the last one. Then it was in the second to last one or whatever,
Hmm.
because the way that he was handling that made it seem like, oh, we have to do a second take of this shit, and then that's the one that sends him to the hospital. Like that made me think, oh god, yeah, this really needs to stop. They can't continue. They can't continue making these. Someone's
Yeah.
actually gonna die,
Hmm.
and it's amazing that that Knoxville didn't die to begin with. I didn't know the lore about the like shooting himself in the wearing a bulletproof vest thing. I didn't know that was like mythical lost footage. But
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
that, like starting the whole thing out with that was really fucking bold. And
Yeah. That was the best. I mean, they started with the best in my opinion. Like that was almost like avant-garde in kind of its like the fact that I mean he's shooting himself in the chest, and he's using like Hustler magazines to like dull, the shot, and which is sort of like a weird thing. And then how they transition from that to the robot prostate exam.
yeah,
It's weird because it's almost like juxtaposing uh the old with the new. It's like, okay, we're gonna go from a guy literally shooting himself in the chest with a gun to a prostate exam with one of those scary, uncanny valley robots. And that's I guess like the one like thematic thing you could take away from the movie. But yeah, I loved that. Was crazy, the gun thing. And then how they all just pile in the car, and they're just like, go, 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 because they know that somebody is probably heard that and is gonna
mm,
call the cops, and they're like, get in the car, and just like, go. And that was, yeah, that was ballsy. That was very ballsy to finally show that, because that was something that they they thought would never see the light of day. And
I hear you,
there's
buddy.
there's a reason why they thought that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you brought up the as far as the new footage goes, because I mean, what this movie is essentially made up of is like three different categories of bits, where it's new footage, it's never before seen stuff, and then it's basically like a greatest hits compilation. And the new footage, what you were talking about, is you can tell they're leaning into the gross stuff because a lot of these guys don't have it in them to do like the stuff that is actually going to injure them anymore. You know, the concussion stuff. I mean, it's very clear that Johnny Knoxville has been told by his doctor, like, you cannot get any more concussions or else you are going to, like, fuck yourself up for the rest of your life. And so they're leaning into the gross stuff, you know, they're leaning into the poop and the puke and the penises and stuff like that, which is fine. I mean, Johnny Knoxville has nothing left to prove. He's proved he has proved that he's done the thing. He's done the he's done the bull thing, and he did the one of my personal favorites is the golf cart crash when the golf cart flips, and he that is also another thing he had to go to the hospital for. And yeah, I mean, so they've done the thing, and yeah, it's just what was your as far as like the new footage went, what was sort of your favorites, I guess, or one of your favorites?
Well, yeah, like I really liked that intro. I didn't understand how they were moving. Like you like the weird way that like they just were moving on the floor. So like technically I was trying to figure out how they were doing what they were doing. And I didn't have to ask that question too many times. But the like it's hard because so much of the like I guess I like the escape room idea. Yeah, like that was kind of neat. The when they're just in a room with a ram goat and they're just getting attacked by it, that made me laugh. Especially when it was just keyed up on Jasper, who was severely underutilized. Like I'm glad that he's part of the milieu, you know, because I loved him in Loiter Squad. But yeah, like they didn't give they're not handing the legacy off very well, you know,
No.
like. And because they could have just handed like new generation, you guys do all the dangerous shit, and all the old men will just stand back and laugh at you, you know, like that's what this in a perfect world that's how it would have worked. But I think that they just not only can you not get away with half the shit anymore, so I don't know. I got to stop critiquing while I'm trying to say things I liked, but. You know, yeah, I guess like that's really all that comes to mind. I did not like the robot prostate. I like that Adam Ray was doing the voice because he's one of my favorite, you know, stand-ups right now. If you've ever seen his Dr. Phil, you know, like that, he's the guy that does that, who impersonates Dr. Phil. And I don't know. Like I hated that whole puppet skit. Did not enjoy that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that was not anything where they just kind of default to like, here, let's have you do this thing while we like tase you or kick you in the balls, or like none of that stuff tends to work for me. I think probably I don't know if I would call it my favorite, but probably among one of the grossest bits they've ever done
oh my
in
god, yeah, thank you for
any
bringing that up.
movie was the human pretzel.
I
The
blacked out during that sequence because
yeah.
it was so disgusting. Because like what they were taking, you know, like this is too much information, but there are people in our household who have required that like sucanate drink that they were taking. And as a gag one time, I was like, I'll just have some of this. And Angie was like, yo, like you only have to take like a few like glugs. And I drank the whole thing just because I kind of liked the way it tasted. And that was a disaster of epic proportions. But not as bad as them. Once you start seeing like the first squirt from one of those,
Oh yeah.
because they're wearing like those pants, you know, as soon as it started just flowing and everyone just started dying, I was gagging and dying. The sight of the shit leaking out all over the floor. Sorry. Yeah, too
Yeah, and then
much.
everybody starts puking, and
But
yeah,
that's
that
what
was
But yeah,
Nasty.
on the disgust level, like yeah, that one definitely is memorable because it was just so fucking gross.
Well, what about okay, so the other sort of stuff that's in this. Never, so probably honestly, my favorite stuff, and I didn't think this was going to be the case going in. I thought we would just get a bunch of like deleted scenes or something like
Yeah,
that, but I really like the never before seen stuff. And we already talked about the gun thing, but I loved that they included the little bits of footage that Bam Margera actually shot when he was on the set for Jackass Forever basically before he got fired off the movie. Um, the stuff in the room, where they shut off the lights with the snake, all that
uh-huh.
stuff. Nobody had ever seen that before because none of the BAM stuff that he filmed for Jackass Forever had seen the light of day before now.
Because he
I think
just
they
kind of
even like
crashed out and he like started flaming him basically.
Well, he basically was on drugs. I mean, and drinking. I mean, Bam Margera has. I mean, he's really gone off the deep end in the last couple of years. I think he's kind of on the mend now. But they were one by the time they had gotten around to Jackass Forever, the set had basically become a sober set where nobody was doing drugs, nobody was drinking on set. During the older movies in the show, they definitely were doing drugs and drinking on set, but it had basically become a sober set. And so Bam was just kind of out of control. And so that's when he got fired off of Jackass Forever. But they actually even I think there are if you go and watch Jackass Forever, there's like a couple of times where they literally like airbrushed him out of certain scenes. Like because they just didn't want him in that movie. And so I think that the relationship has kind of mended in a way now where, I mean, of course he had to, I mean, he had to sign off on all this stuff too. Bam Margera had to sign off on all this because he's still, I'm sure he still holds some sort of rights to his image and maybe even rights to the Jackass, company itself, and so he had to sign off on all this stuff too. And
Mm.
so yeah, I like that. The prison escapee bit, I guess, is a little more like take it or leave it. That
See,
that had never.
I found that intriguing. I know
Okay.
like it's not very like yeah, it's not like it there could because it's a bad idea. Like there's a good reason why they were banned from West LA for 10 years. Or why MTV, on its own was and why yeah, cuz you just can't do what they were doing. Like without
Yeah, it
giving
all
notice to law enforcement first.
they definitely, yeah, they got lucky with that. When they got lucky with the owners of that hardware store, like because I found it funny how they handled that. The hardware store guys were basically like, "Oh, get everybody out of the store. We're gonna just let this guy like you know, do his thing in the store while we call the cops. And, everybody go out onto the street. And if they would have gotten a different owner of that hardware store or like
Yeah.
they would have chosen, yeah, that could have gone so bad, like he could have tried to like fight him. He could have tried to, like, he could have pulled a gun or something like that. It could have gone very, very badly. But, yeah, I guess it was decent. It was a decent bit. But I understand why it hasn't been seen until now.
Well, and what made me laugh, like actually, like it was like they had nothing to do with it, but like when that like when that cop pulled up, that lady cop in the shorts, when she pulls up, she just
Oh,
gets out of her car without putting it in park, and then she just like runs into like a meter, and she's just like, "What the fuck is going on? Oh God!" Like and she has to go in and stop her car again, like, and that's what I kind of miss. It's like the the insertion into the real world who is unaware of what they've gotten themselves involved in just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like,
Mhm.
it's no wonder that eventually they just have to start working out of closed sets because, yeah, the public does not want to just have these wackos inflicted on them. But,
Yeah.
like, that was such a line cross, in that sense that, like, that I found it intriguing because that situation just felt so fucking real And I loved how the cops are like, "Are you recording this?" Yes, I'm recording it, and
Yeah.
both of them are just like, turn it off now, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll turn it off. Like nothing's
Yeah,
changed.
that the all the like stuff involving strangers, all the stuff out in public. It's a shame that they can't do that anymore. Just because, I mean, partially because they're all too famous now, and partially just because that's I guess it's kind of become played out at this point. You have YouTubers who are
Exactly.
going out there and like unwittingly involving the public in their stupid like YouTube sketches and stuff like that, and
Or
it's
the
kind of
just the lot like people who do the IRL streaming.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
and it's sort of ruined that idea in some ways. It's become saturated to a point of like oversaturation, and so
And
yeah,
believe it or
maybe.
not, there's a lack of accountability in this generation. These guys
Hmm.
somehow have more accountability than the average, IRL live streamer in that
Mhm.
way because it's like, and even in CKY, we'll get to that, but it's like they will genuinely say sorry to somebody, eventually. And you don't see anyone doing that these days.
No, not at all. And then I guess to kind of round out the three parts of the movie here. So the final part, and we don't need to spend a ton of time on this, but the final sort of makeup of the movie are the sort of greatest hits stuff. And this is kind of the stuff for me that just really didn't work. I've seen all this stuff before. And it only really, to me, it only really served to highlight how much better the show
Exactly.
and the movies used to be, where it's
Yeah.
like, they the stuff stuff like the red rocket and stuff like the porta potty bungee thing, you
Hmm.
can just tell that they used to get like so much more of like a budget, and they used to like actually like really plan stuff out, and they would need like lead time to like construct these things. It'd be like, okay, we need to construct this giant rocket, or we need to rent out like a bunch of big like construction vehicles to hold up this porta potty, and you can just tell that there used to be a lot more planning involved and
Yeah,
stuff like
like
that.
they actually had competent professionals, have to think about, oh, what will this do to the human body if we allow them to do what they're wanting to do? Yeah, like
Mhm.
someone had to sit down and do the math, believe it or not, for some of these stunts. And it's crazy that they got to do it at all. The especially the like cuz and I never noticed this, but like I was in the porta potty one, I didn't realize that there was like a roll cage built into it. And I don't know if it's just because I never saw it. Like I didn't see that one in a theater,
Okay.
but it made me realize, oh, they did try and do something to keep them safe. It wasn't, because you'd think that that porta potty would just completely come apart, and that's why it didn't. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I'm picking up some small things like that. The was the dirty grandpa sequence, was that like a cut scene from that movie, or was that just something they threw in for fun when he goes to the blackmail strip club?
That that has been in I don't remember which movie, but that was in a past movie. That is
Okay.
that is that is footage that we have seen before, and that was I mean, really really funny. The thing is, I'm glad that you mentioned seeing like the roll cage and the porta potty, because once you start watching these movies, multiple times, or some of these bits multiple times, you do catch certain the behind the scenes stuff that you normally wouldn't, because that, from what I understand, this the strip club scene that you brought up, that they want to make that seem a little bit more like unplanned than it actually was. But from what I understand, that the way that that scene basically came about is all of those women that were there, and the strippers, of course, knew that they were being filmed,
For a
and
movie.
knew,
Yeah.
yeah, for a movie, and they knew that they basically knew that they were on like a essentially a closed set, where they basically you know hired or asked for volunteers or whatever of all of these like old black women, and they're like, okay, be here at, this place at this time. We'll give you a bunch of free drinks and we'll throw a party for you, and you just, run with it basically.
Yeah.
Just roll with it. Whatever happens, happens. And so that's kind of, those are the things that you pick up on as
Uh,
you sort of watch these multiple times. Um but yeah, so yeah, all that stuff was already seen. And so yeah, just for the most part, a lot of the greatest hits stuff just kind of, it really didn't work for me. But I did definitely want to get your opinion on the cast as far as like where we're at now, because this cast has evolved, over the last 25 years or whatever, however long it's been. And I don't know, what do you make of them? The old cast, the new cast, do you have any favorites? Do you have any people that you can't stand?
um, I really don't like Poopies. Like,
Yeah.
especially after he got the lip filler. I just wanted bad things to happen to him. Unfortunately, I got to have that. I just don't like his personality, I guess.
Yeah.
But like as far as not being able to stand, God, Zach, I just can't. Every time that just made me look at his morbidly obese, like ass cheeks, I just wanted him to keel over and die. I could not handle any more of that, frankly. But it's like, and I guess I wanted more Pontius. Like I feel like the guy just like showed up
Mm.
to wear like a flower bra and like rip his pants off a couple times, but like I just wanted more participation from the old school crowd, because basically they had, even like the new kids on the block, they really didn't do anything. Like apart
Yeah.
from like Jasper in the ram scene, and the like going on the chair during the quiz, like armchair gag
Mhm.
with Fat Zach being lowered on their faces.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, I think as far as the new guys go, I think Poopy's for me, yeah, he definitely doesn't have like the personality. He doesn't have the charisma that a lot of like the older guys have, but he does get props for actually
yeah,
like doing the most as far as he seems to be the one who's like down to do, whatever. But a lot of the newer cast just doesn't work. Like the Rachel girl,
yeah, I've never heard
she
of her. I had no frame
yeah,
of reference.
she did absolutely nothing. She did a little bit. All of these people, I don't think they introduced anybody new for this movie. All of these newer cast members came about during Jackass Forever. Jackass Forever was like the first time they had all shown up. And so she did a lot more in Jackass Forever. I don't know why she didn't get anything in this movie. Like literally nothing except for I think she like shocked her tongue in like the opening credits. And like that's literally it. And the same could go for Dark Shark, Jasper, which I think is Jasper's dad, I want to
Apparently,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, he was also in Jackass Forever, but he didn't really do anything in that movie, and he didn't really do anything in this movie either, except for like do reaction shots basically in the background. And
And is that
so,
just stuff that hit the cutting room floor, or did they just not shoot anything? Do you think?
well, I have seen, because a lot of people are, complaining about how little the new cast did, and I did see that sort of in response to the criticism, that Rachel Wolfson, she posted something on Instagram. She posted a photo of this giant ass bruise that she had on her leg, and she basically said, "We did film shit, but the shit that I filmed didn't make it into the movie." And
Well,
basically,
it's not their fault
essentially,
then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I'm glad you brought up about the old cast. Kind of a lot of them, also didn't really do like a ton as far as like, yeah, Pontius doesn't do. But I think Pontius, his one thing that he did was like that, pretty lame in my opinion, like pole vaulting like
Yeah,
thing
where
segment.
he's just helicoptering his dick around.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like that was it for him pretty much. And then, you don't really get anything with like Wee Man didn't really do much. Preston Lacey, their old fat guy. They've moved on to the new fat guy now, but their old
Basically,
fat guy, Preston Lacey, he didn't really do much. And yeah, it was mostly like Steve-O, Knoxville, and then Danger Aaron. Danger Aaron was kind of the guy
he
who
was the
seemed
one that was picked on. He's the one that got fucked with. God, and I'm just okay. Now I'm remembering a skit that I loved from the past that I want to bring up. That I wish
yeah.
they had kept it. That been a part of the highlight reel. The one where they trick. It's not Aaron. It's the other guy,
Dave England.
David England, where
Okay.
they trick him into like gluing their pubes on his face to play a terrorist for his skits. And that's the thing, like that like the pranks on each other. There just wasn't enough of like sincere efforts to do things like that. I guess in the new shit where like they were like genuinely fucking with each other. And then like there has to be that moment of, oh, do I get mad or do I just laugh along? Like in seeing who breaks one way or the other. And that's what I live for, I guess.
Yeah, it's the most fun. It's especially at this point, when this is ostensibly the last movie, you want to see these guys, like palling around. You want to see them fucking with each other and being good sports about it. And yeah, there really wasn't a ton of that. And yeah, I guess as we sort of transition
Yeah.
to CKY here, I think the most disappointing thing about this movie just in and of itself and the last one too is the lack of Bam Margera, where you really would hope that they would have been able to reconcile in time for him to appear in this movie, other than just in stock or old footage. But then also, as Bam kind of disappeared from the Jackass stuff, so did his sort of crew, because you notice when you watch the older Jackass stuff, you're getting the kind of Westchester, Pennsylvania crew a lot more too, like the Brandon DiCamillo and Chris Rabb, and obviously Ryan Dunn, of course,
Yeah.
before his passing, and so you don't get those guys anymore. None of those guys have like anything to do with this stuff anymore, and
Not right
so.
now. Let me finish my
Um,
show.
so yeah, I mean, as we transition to CKY here,
In the house.
we're getting a lot more of those guys, or we're going
Yeah.
back to the real beginnings here. And so I guess
Hey, buddy.
what is
Oh,
your have you seen these before? Have you seen any of these CKY movies? I'm curious. I don't know
I
if you ever.
this is actually the only one that I ever got. Hey, buddy. Hey, not. I'm sorry, Matt. I need to defuse this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I guess for me,
Not right
as I
now. I have to
mentioned
finish
kind of
my
in our
show. Can I finish
intro,
my show? And then we can.
I have seen all of these, all four of them, and the documentary that they included with the old box sets, and I owned them. I actually owned all the CKY movies on VHS, and I ordered them from. I don't know if you ever got the mail order catalog CCS.
I wasn't
Or
enough of a skater boy.
no, okay. Yeah, CCS was like a skateboarding mail order catalog from like the 90s. I think they might still do it, but when you went to the very, very back of the CCS catalog, it had all of the skate videos that you could buy and order, and it lumped in with all of the skate videos was the CKY box set, and so that was kind of how I stumbled into knowing about these was through CCS, but yeah, I don't know what did you think of this? I guess.
But basically, yeah, like really didn't have concrete memories of this. I didn't retain a lot of it. This was
Mhm.
even more forbidden fruit than Jackass was, in a sense. But like like this whole era of skate videos, like this dudes just running around with cameras doing stuff, and just having fun, messing with each other, messing with strangers, just trying to convince everyone to, you be extreme, whatever. it was a time and place, but it's like this is the caveman version of social media, craziness that we live in now. Oh my god.
Come here, buddy.
Yeah, well, it's surprisingly like it's still,
Buddy, I
for
need to
something
finish
that's
my
25 years old,
okay.
it's shockingly transgressive still, where it's like
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
found I found myself like I found myself shockingly appalled at certain things in this movie that like I still am just like, whoa, this is like really, really offensive. And like I'm surprised at how like offended I am by it in almost like an enjoyable way where I'm like, this is so much, it's more pure in that sense, where it's like a
I'm
lot of
just
stuff
re-
that
I'm just realizing there's gonna be
yeah.
tits in this.
Because of the movie,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's no traditional trailer. This is just the intro. You
Oh,
know.
okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, when the girl's like running through the alley. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's shocking because it's like a lot of stuff nowadays that's considered, like offensive. It's made with the express purpose of doing so, of offending you. And it's kind of lame in that way. It's kind of try hard and lame in my opinion. And this is like, you know, it's like we've said before, it's literally just like suburban teenagers just walking around saying what they want to say, saying what they would say around their friends, doing what they want to do, It's just kind of like it's crazy how like transgressive it is.
Yeah. Like the in particular, like the sequence where there's in like the Icelandic hotel, and a guy takes a shit and wipes his ass. Is that Di Machillo or
Oh, DiCamillo.
Di Camillo? And then
Yeah.
he goes into another room and then wipes it on the other dude's face, and then he goes to bed, and the other guy is like, he just put poop on my face. Well, I'm gonna fucking kill him. Like the genuine anger there. So it's like he's not just gonna accept it; he's gonna get his back. And he did. And then he just goes and pisses on his face.
Yeah, while he's sleeping, yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
the weird like skit where he's pretending to be like an amputee veteran eating garbage.
Yeah,
Like that was too fucking far. Like, I'm gagging just thinking about it. Yeah, yeah. Not
Well,
only
yeah,
not only in
it's
bad taste, it's just disgusting. What he was doing was disgusting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely gross and just completely like in bad taste. Yeah, like just and like people are like actually giving him money and stuff, and then like the people in like the restaurant nearby are like watching him, and it's just like it just gives you that sort of like, oh, like this is very like gross and like taboo, feeling and stuff like that. But in a way, as I said, it's almost like I'm amused at how like shocked I am right now. I am amused at how like how much this is sort of like getting my jimmies, in a
Yeah,
rustle. And
yeah.
but yeah, it's I love these still. I haven't watched, I mean, it's been God,
Do
I
you
don't
still
know.
have your
It,
VHSs, or they've
I
been?
don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened to them, but I don't have them anymore. And I this really like appeals to that kid that I was back then, as far as like, just like I had the DC shoes and the the ball chain like necklace and the bleach blonde hair, and yeah, it's just, but the thing is watching it now, it puts kind of two separate interesting lenses on the movie for me, as far as like it's just interesting to watch this thing that would pave the way for Jackass. And it's just kind of it's the real shit, where it's like it's a window into like suburban teen life at the turn of the century, where it's like a lot of times on the show, when we're choosing our sort of movie to pair up with the newer movie, we're always watching movies from like decades past, and it's always fun to just watch that stuff. But even then, narrative films, they provide like a manufactured reality, or a manufactured version of that decade, a manufactured nostalgia, but this is like the real like pump it into my veins shit where it's like, oh, we're just gonna walk around this, Walmart parking lot or this grocery store parking lot and crash shopping carts into each other. It's literally like homegrown tapes of teenagers staving off boredom because they didn't have smartphones in the 90s. They didn't have anything to scroll through when they were bored. And so I love watching it through that sort of lens.
The kind of creativity that can only be born from boredom, and a lack of, concrete opportunity, to express that creativity, and just doing it by whatever means necessary. If it means breaking into a pool in the middle of the night and wearing an alien mask and going down a slide on a skateboard, which is what my friend Daniel did, and that's the thing. Like, we taught ourselves how to edit videos before we had things like Adobe Premiere. They were making
Windows Movie Maker and stuff.
Even more primitive, VCR to VCR.
Oh, okay, sure.
Literally just like playing music in the background while you're shooting something so that it's recorded by the microphone. It's like, and that's why I got a lot out of is like watching the technical aspect of it. It's like, how were they doing this? And you get to see a guy like literally carrying like a sound box around with a microphone, while they're doing stuff. It was just interesting to like try and figure out like, okay, like how did they do this? Why did they do it this way? And all the music selections too, like the intro, being set to Du Hast by Rammstein was pretty, fucking awesome. It really got you in the mood, in the vibe for it all. And just the sheer variety of clips. Like, it's just a machine gun of stuff throughout this. It's like, yeah, you'll have your longer sequences, but then there's just like the stuff that lasts like a single, like 3-second clip, and it's like, and there's something that you can grab and latch onto in that brief moment,
Yeah, it's like, let me just edit in this like 3-second clip of just a butt shitting.
Yeah.
Just pooping. Like, okay. Yeah, it's crazy the variety you get. And of course, these things, ostensibly they started as skate videos. And so you still get, I would say a good, like 20% of this entire movie is just skateboarding, actual like good skateboarding, just and not really played for laughs a lot of the time, just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw this clip in of this trick that I did. And so that's kind of where these things started. And so I like how they still pepper in those bits too, the skate bits.
Oh man.
You mentioned the music, and I wanted to talk about that too for a second. You do have like the Du Hast in there, and then when they go to Iceland and they just play Bjork, and that is one of the great things about these movies too, is of course Bam Margera did not go out and get the rights to any of this shit.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, it's all in at least the first 3 CKY movies. I think by the time he had gotten to the 4th one, there was a little bit more production involved, but yeah, all of this stuff is in here illegally. And did you watch the movie through the link that I sent you, the Internet Archive link?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So that is actually one of the only ways to see the movies in their original form anymore, because since then they have in more current releases of the CKY movies, like on DVD and stuff, they've had to edit a lot of the music out because they finally were forced to go and, they were basically forced to do it because they were threatened with lawsuits. I think Bjork threatened them with a lawsuit. I think Rammstein was cool with it. I don't think they really care. But then you like go on to the 3rd CKY movie has a Dimmu Borgir song, and the fourth CKY movie has a Queens of the Stone Age song in its intro, and it's like it's funny how all that stuff, works out. Some of the bands are completely cool with it, and then some of the bands are like, "No, we are gonna sue the shit out of you if you don't take this out of here."
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to pay for your baby's college. It's like that's kind of the mentality there. But
Yeah.
they also like went to Bjork's house during the Iceland sequence.
And tried to get her on video, like coming in and out of her house. Yeah, that was great. I guess what do you have any, are there any stunts or any pranks that stick out to you as kind of your favorites in this one?
The rental car that I had never seen that before. That blew my mind. That they could like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like that's where right along with the prison escapee bit. Like that's going like when you're doing something that's going to result in the like multiple different agencies getting involved, and you somehow just finesse your way out of any responsibility for it. Like I don't know, man, it just started on fire. Like can you imagine like, and then there's gonna have to be like an investigation of the fire. Like I'm sure if we like dug into like the lore and the news, there was probably like news articles about fire departments and the police were called to a car on fire on this particular road on this day. The cause of the fire is still to be determined. Like there's probably something like that out there, and maybe the fact that somebody was charged with something. But that's where I'm just like, holy shit! Like I can't believe it went that far. It was funny when they were just like pissing on it and like running it into things. It kind of reminded me of like one of the better Top Gear bits where they take a Hilux truck and just see what they can do to it before it'll stop running, and it's like comical how far it will go. They drop like crap on it, they leave it in the ocean for a day, like that kind of they put it on a building that's being raised. And then they're like, well, did it start? And then they drive it up onto the studio set. Like, they just kept on going and going and going. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the rental car because that, to me, the rental car that is like an actual, like, nascent, like, Jackass sketch, because you could tell that somebody, either Bam Margera himself or somebody in his crew was like, hey, did you know that you can go rent a car and then pay the extra $9 a day,
Think about
and you
that.
can do you can do whatever you want to it. And so
These guys are the reasons why we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's like the amount of planning that like or the idea, you can see the light bulb go off, sort of, where it's like they show something similar to that too in the actual Jackass Best and Last, where Bam Margera had a lot of these really good ideas, and he used to fax them, to them, and that they show that with the bungee jump sketch that they show in Jackass, where you attach the fat guy to Wee Man and then see what happens when they both like jump off a bridge. And so that's sort of like it's the nascent like beginnings of the sort of setup for what would become sort of Jackass, in my opinion. The stuff like the rental car, and also stuff like one of my favorites is Fat Fucks, where they basically they put on size 60 pants and they stuff it with bubble wrap, and then they just go and do like skateboard tricks. And that sketch is, I think that sketch is literally, I don't know if you knew this, but in the first season of Jackass, the TV show, they literally just take entire segments from CKY and just put it in the show like wholesale. And that's one of them, where they just took the entire Fat Fucks sketch and just put it in an episode of Jackass. And that's the type of stuff where it's like, yeah, this is a classic, or this will become a classic.
I guess I didn't know that, because I didn't get to watch every episode of Jackass. I was lucky if I got to see a handful, and I had outgrown it by the time I could decide for myself what I wanted to watch.
Sure.
But I see what you're saying for sure, because there's because I don't know, there always seemed to be like discourse, about like which was better, or like there was like the CKY truthers who were like, you don't understand, man, like they did it first, like Johnny Knoxville's a hack, like they were hipsters about these like prank shows, and like, but like, yeah, it's interesting to just to see the progression and the lineage of it, and they go from this to kidnapping Brad Pitt,
Kidnapping. Yeah, and that's one of the funny things too about the old Jackass movies is all of the celebrity cameos that they eventually got. There was some pretty big, there was some pretty big people who were at one point involved with Jackass, where
which
it's
is
like,
crazy.
yeah, like we have Brad Pitt, or we have, I don't know if you ever saw the stuff with Sean Penn and his son.
No. What?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sean Penn was in, I can't remember which one it is, or maybe it's an episode of, it might actually be Viva La Bam that he was in.
Dude,
It's
I
either,
forgot about that.
yeah. Sean Penn is literally in like a sketch that they did for like Viva La Bam or Jackass or something, and like there was, I'm kind of at a loss now for the other ones, but there have been many celebrities over the years who have been involved with this show, and I think it's funny that the one guy that they got for this most recent one was Paul Walter Hauser,
Dude, who was regretting every moment he was in frame. Like, you could just tell, like, when he showed up, he was like, Jesus Christ. And like, they were even making the point. It's like, why are you here? You don't need to be. You don't have to do this kind of thing anymore, man. But
yeah, I wonder if that him appearing has, because I think that they were, a lot of that stuff that was filmed like outside, I'm pretty sure was just done on like a Paramount backlot, and I wonder if that, like, Paul Walter Hauser just happened to be like filming next door or something like that, and they're like, hey, want to come like have a gigantic obese man lowered onto your face? And he was just like, "Oh, okay, I
sure,
guess." Like,
yeah. If it'll get my face out there, why not? But they quickly got him out of the chair because they gave him a softball question.
Yeah, the softball questions. Yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. We usually, as we sort of kind of try and tie these two things together here, I don't know, where do you think this genre goes from here? I mean, as far as like, it's done apparently. Jackass is done apparently. They've said that before, but I don't know. I feel like it actually probably is now. And do we ever see these types of movies in a theatrical setting ever again, or is this just something that moves entirely online? I don't know.
I think that's kind of where it's going. Because it's like, why bother making a movie or like a traditional like TV show version of it, like in this day and age when, for literally, no money at all, somebody can create something that's seen by millions of people doing the modern equivalent of this without the charm or like the energy or like even the substance, the genuine substance that this stuff has, like that Jackass and CKY have. That's gone from how people consume the micro slop prank or just like IRL streaming. There's nothing to it. It's literally just a camera running and people just going, hey chat. Like, I don't want to have that kind of, like, what makes this stuff work is that their fans aren't directly in their ear telling them what to do. You know what I mean? Like the better angels of their nature are still there. And
yeah,
the closest thing that we had to a generational replacement was Loiter Squad. And that didn't last. Like, I don't know how many seasons that got, but it very quickly became something that those guys were ready to move on from. And I even think like like the $1 million extreme going up in smoke. Also, and that's exactly. Okay, so here we go. The Jackass has been replaced by Sam Hyde. Like if there's a
Yeah.
genuine successor, it's Sam Hyde, and it's the kind of thing that he does. But not to say he can really do what he is most famous for doing anymore. He has to do Fish Tank, which is just psychotic Big Brother. But we're just not going to see this kind of thing anymore. If you're going on YouTube to make this kind of stuff, you're going to have your niche audience. You're going to have your advertising, through Factor meals or something. And you're not really going to be beholden to anybody but the YouTube algorithms and censorship, but they're not really going to go after you. But are you going to have that kind of monoculture, touchstone power? Definitely not. It's but maybe somebody will prove me wrong, because like watching Jackass Best in the Last, I was genuinely moved by the finale when they're in the giant shopping cart and My Way is playing, and then like when they went off the ramp and it looked like they all blew up and died, I initially was like, holy shit, was that actually them? Before it became like really clear that it was just dummies. Yeah. But yeah, it's like they effectively ended this whole thing by killing themselves in a stunt, and now it's over. It's all over and done with. Maybe Eric Andre could do something like this in the future, but probably not. He's becoming a serious actor now and like a composer. Like he was a guy that could have done it, but I don't know. But what do you think? I mean, I've rambled on enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's moving. This sort of thing really only has a place online nowadays. You also have to factor in like the tremendous like risk that like a movie studio has in sponsoring something like this. Like we all, I think we forget a lot of the time that the company that is behind these movies or has been behind them since the very beginning is literally Paramount Studios. And they like there have been so many stories over the years of them butting heads with like the Jackass crew butting heads with Paramount and them getting into fights. And that's the reason why there's only 3 seasons of the actual show, of Jackass the show, because after the 3rd season, the Jackass crew, they were ready to walk away because they're like, there's way too much interference. Like this sucks. It's not even fun to do anymore because
why they started making movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't think in 2026 a movie studio is not going to take on the risk of making a show like Jackass. And so that's part of it. And then I'm glad you brought up the money thing too, because it's like something like this nowadays is just so entrenched in shitty things like sponsorships or like oh chat, like get me to 1,000 super chats and I'll do the thing. I won't do the thing unless you get me, and it's like it's all like driven by money. And sure, these guys are being paid for their time and these guys are being paid like some sort of salary to do this, but it's all on the front end where it's like, okay, we'll give you we'll give you $20,000 to be here for 3 days, but once that's it, that's all you get, that's your salary. And so the shit better be good for that money that we're paying you. And so it's
they're there for the love of the game too. Like, it's like you take the average, like IRL streamer these days, and you ask them to do anything more than just talk to a camera or just like walk around and insert themselves into situations, and they're not going to do it. No one has the temerity and the character of Steve-O, in the current generation. That man was willing to do anything, and it didn't matter how much you paid him, and I respect that. Like
you literally could have, back in the day when they were making the show, you literally could have like given Steve-O like a 6-pack of beer and shoved like a box of like like whippets in front of him and been like, "Here, do this thing, and I'll give you these," and he probably would have done it.
The lone exception being the toy car up the ass. He thought that'd be
Yeah,
funny, but not to him. And then
yeah,
fast forward, he's shitting out a ping pong ball. So like event, but yeah. And then
completely sober too.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, for the love of the game, man, and the paycheck. But um, to digress, as we kind of head towards the end here, we kind of just have to acknowledge, now with Obsession's going to be heading towards streaming, I anticipate Backrooms is going to be as well. The YouTuber renaissance of Hollywood is in its birth, and I guess to tie it together, we're going away from the Jackass kind of stuff being what gives you success outside of YouTube, and now it's the more artistic stuff. There's this weird short film that was 2 minutes long and set in an elevator where like these two people go, I forget what it's called, but like all it is them being in an elevator, the lights go crazy, the number goes negative, and then when the door opens, they're in this completely black void. That's getting a movie adaptation. That short film was uploaded 2 years ago, and now that guy's got a multi-million-dollar development deal to make a feature out of his short film concept that's just been sitting out there online and that went viral after Backrooms came out. We're getting Pool Rooms the movie on Christmas Day. Like it's like we are in a different timeline and territory, but like that's the now we are getting our auteurs and our our filmmaking creatives. We are getting them from YouTube in a different sector of it, versus the merry pranksters and the live streamers, and that's interesting. But it's a sign of the times here. It's like all of Jackass and CKY were decried for dumbing down the American teenager and being bad influences on them. And the same was, said about YouTube and everything, but now it's where we're getting, the next generation. And I don't know if you saw this or not, Matt, but Kane Parsons uploaded a selfie next to the famous Valve that's in the Valve offices.
Oh, okay.
What
No, I didn't
do
see that.
you think Mr. Parsons is collaborating with Valve on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the obvious thing would be a game, but it's weird to say that nowadays because Valve doesn't do a whole lot of games. They're like,
They don't. They actively deprive us of their games.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they really don't. I mean, at this point, Valve is a company that is driven entirely by like we are only going to do exactly what we want to do, and we're not, so either Kane Parsons went there to like I don't know pitch something. I wouldn't. I guess what I'm saying is I wouldn't look so far into it
Oh,
at this point that it's like a done deal. It's like
yeah.
Kane Parsons is making a video game. I would say at most he went there to like pitch something, and that's it. And
Yeah.
who knows if it'll ever, if it'll ever see the light of
Because
day.
the same thing happened with J.J. Abrams. Like there was going to be some kind of collaboration between Bad Robot and Valve that never materialized. But then again, nothing Bad Robot touches ever turns into something post Star Wars these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're like, and if I don't know if it's because like I saw that photo and then immediately read Mark Laidlaw's like his like post retirement like document dumps about Half-Life, but I think Kane Parsons is working on a Half-Life movie.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah,
what
or at least,
I
at
want
least,
to be true, or
yeah.
Portal at the very least. But
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, he has some sort of fondness for Portal, doesn't he?
he
Like
does, yeah.
yeah, like that's like one of his big inspirations from what I remember. So yeah, totally. It's totally something related to Portal, or at least he went and pitched something related to Portal.
And it's because like if ever there was like somebody who could execute, because that's why those kinds of adaptations just haven't happened. You know, like, how do you transition a totally first person narrative with a silent protagonist into something that, you know, could be a compelling and entertaining movie? It's just a hurdle that's way too high. But I think this psycho, this freak is the one who's going to do it. You know, because he didn't waste his time watching Jackass and CKY as a kid. You know, like, he's a kid of genuine culture and refinement.
Well, I mean, at the very least, to draw the line from Kane Parsons to the Jackass crew, it's all about, like, you know, just like figuring out things for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like Kane Parsons, you know, taught himself Blender, and he taught himself editing, and he taught himself, you know, YouTube uploading. And, you know, back in our day, the equivalent of that
Exactly.
is like the Jackass guys, you know, the Jackass guys teaching themselves editing, and the Jackass guys teaching themselves, you know, how to film stuff and how to put music in on things. And so,
to go from handy cams to like those giant cinema cameras that they're using in the latest movie. Yeah, it's quite a journey, but like you got to start somewhere to get to the destination. But yeah, this is a really fun, you know, revisit of the past, you know, a farewell, you know, to the, you know, the series and genre in general. And it's well worth a revisit. You know, if you haven't been, but don't expect it to completely blow your mind. Yeah, it's kind of like watching a clip show at the end of like a season of television from like the 80s or 90s when they're just trying to fill out, you know, the season. And yeah, and that's the vibe, unfortunately. But yeah, CKY, definitely try and, you know, find that on the Internet Archive, because you're going to be in for a treat. But as always, you know, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Matt. We will see you all in a few weeks. We're going to take a bit of a break while I completely disrupt my life, you know, with the new job in Bismarck. But we're doing that in particular so that we can bring you our timely review of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and the Coen brothers' Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's going to be a lot of fucking fun. It's such a weird pairing, but, you know, they're doing the same story, so you can't get too mad at us. And one of those movies has John Goodman in it, so it's worth something. But yeah, thank you, and have a good one.
See ya.